go over some Spurs news and notes and ask, who is the most improved player or players from last season?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every single day. We appreciate it. Subscribe at the Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. The list goes on and on. Let me bring my microphone a little closer to me so y'all can hear me better. What are we talking about today? Well, we're going to go over some quick Spurs news and notes, not too much. Then bring in our guest, Mike Jimenez. Yes, he's back. He is the acquired taste himself. We're going to be discussing which player or players are the most improved players from last year's Spurs squad, and then get into some of your thoughts, your comments left on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You want to go check out FanDuel right now. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150. Win or lose. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. All right, so let's go over some Spurs news and notes very quickly. Perhaps the biggest news that everybody's already heard about is the San Antonio Spurs are officially, yes, it's official, will be playing 2 games in Paris, France next season against the Indiana Pacers. Now, the Pacers and the Spurs will be splitting that, so one game the Spurs will be the home team, and then the other day Spurs are going to be the visitor. This will be a part of the regular season. So yes, the Spurs will be returning to France. This will be like another time. I think the Spurs have been there like 3-4 times in Paris, France. Obviously, Wemby will be excited. City Sissoko will be excited. But it's not too much of a shock. I think everybody knew that this was coming. Popovich, during the season, admitted the Spurs were going to Paris. Even Tony Parker, before the 23-24 season began, spoke to a French media outlet saying, yeah, the Spurs are coming, so it's no surprise. It's just that the Spurs made it official. But interesting to note is I did speak with the Spurs, and they have confirmed with me that these 2 games will not impact the 2 games set for the Austin games. You remember that in the last couple of years, Spurs been playing 2 games in Austin. They anticipate to be staying in Austin, going to Austin, and cultivating that fan base. Also, season ticket holders will not be impacted by this as well. If you have for example, you have a partial season ticket and you get 10 games, you'll still have those 10 games, regardless. If the Spurs are in San Antonio or Paris, France, you'll still get your 10 games. But they will help season ticket holders make arrangements to go to Paris if they choose to. So there's a little note for you guys who have season tickets. In other Spurs news, Charles Barkley's at it again. This time he took aim at Galveston, Texas. Now, for those of y'all who are not from Texas, Galveston is on the Gulf of Mexico. It's a little city right there near Corpus-ish, just on the Gulf of Mexico. And, well, after the Pelicans lost and were down 3-0 in their opening series, instead of going to Cancun, Barkley says, nope, Pelicans are going to be going to Galveston because they got dirty water. And he believes that the Galveston doesn't have beaches, and they're just made to look like beaches, but they're really not. So everybody had a chuckle over that, but he did not hold back. He had to take a shot at San Antonio. And you know what he always goes to about the San Antonio women. And so he took another pot shot at that. So it's up on kens5.com/Spurs if you want to go check it out. In other Spurs news, you probably saw this already. It just came out a few hours before this episode of Locked On Spurs came on. But Keldon Johnson will be hosting a meet and greet in Laredo, Texas in May. So it's right around the corner. This is part of the Spurs, well, not the Spurs really, but the players, I should say, from Keldon and down the line, even City Sissoko, making an effort to reach out to that community. I think it's Border City Hoops. You have Swish City. Those organizations out in Laredo, Texas that are bringing the Spurs players to the Valley. And Johnson will be doing a meet and greet. Now, it's not the only thing he'll be doing in Laredo, Texas. There will be a basketball camp called Balling on the Rio in Laredo as well this offseason. So Keldon will be making his presence known and felt throughout Laredo, Texas. All right, those are your quick Spurs news and notes. When we get back, we're going to bring in Mike Jimenez of the Alamocity Sports Podcast. We're going to be discussing which player or players are the most improved players from last year's roster and more, including your comments left on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Hey, do you want to make mom smile? Start Mother's Day with flowers or surprise her with gifts from the brands that she loves delivered the very same day with DoorDash. Moms are a gift, so give her the best this Mother's Day. Get gifts as thoughtful as she is with DoorDash. Select from hundreds of expertly crafted bouquets to the best of tech to self-care essentials and more delivered right to her door. This Mother's Day, get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Again, surprise her whatever you want. You think of the bouquet of flowers? They got that. What about gift cards? They got that too. So much more to make her day better. And it's never too late to show mom your love this Mother's Day with DoorDash. Again, everything you need all in one place delivered right to her door. Also, shop with savings that would make her proud with the Dash Pass membership. You'll save with a $0 delivery fee and reduced service fees on eligible items orders from Dash Pass merchants that meet the minimum subtotal. Other fees, including service fee, apply. Terms do apply. So again, get all your Mother's Day's gift all in one place. Get 50% off your next order up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now with the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from Cybertron Springs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're now joined by Mike Jimenez. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. Also follow him at Las Palapas if you're in San Antonio, apparently. That's where he's recording this show right now. Did we interrupt your lunchtime, Jimenez?
Not yet, man, but they're going to bring me some chips and salsa pretty soon, so I've got to make this quick.
I believe we're doing a show from Las Palapas. Well, at least Jimenez is from Las Palapas. Anyway, we're going to try to get Mike in and out of here because you can tell he's at work/lunch period right now. Make sure to follow him again on X at MJ Acquired Taste. He is part of the Alamo City Sports Podcast Network on YouTube. He'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So while Jimenez is waiting for his order to get in, we're going to be discussing who are the Spurs' most improved players. Now, there's several to choose from, but we're going to try to narrow it down to about 2 to 3. Jimenez, you are the guest. Who do you got? Who are the most improved Spurs from last season?
You know, I was going back and forth between two players. The first one being Devin Vassell because, you know, Vassell took a little bit of a mini leap. If it wasn't for the fact that he missed 14 games, I would have gone with Devin Vassell because he had a career high points. His shooting percentages were up. His efficiency was up. But I'm going to go with Tre Jones, though. I mean, overall, Tre Jones has shown them to be a better of a leader than in years past. His shooting has improved dramatically. Assists are up. Everything seems to be looking upward for Tre Jones. I like what he did out there. I still don't buy him as being the starting point guard for a playoff team, but I like him on this team. And I think the Spurs have him at a good price point. I like what he's doing. I like the energy. I like the leadership. I'll pick Tre Jones.
You know, he had a couple of stats where he had career highs last year. And perhaps the biggest career high, still low, but a mark of improvement, is three-point shooting. Last year, a career high shooting 34% from the three line. I get it, everybody. It's not eye-opening, but consider this. Last season, well, the 2022-23 season, 28% from the field.
Right.
A three line, that is. He made us talk about that three-point shot. Now, he did tell me before the offseason began that that's one thing he wants to work on, three-shot. How key is that for him? Because the Spurs are in search of a point guard. If he can develop that three-shot, maybe they already got their point guard on the roster.
It matters. I mean, it really does. And if you look at the overall effective field goal percentage of Tre Jones, he was at 55% for the year. And you are a pretty good player when you're at 55% or greater. He hit that mark. Mm-hmm. The reason why he was able to hit that mark was because he was shooting 58% from two. So 58% from two, that is Tony Parker-esque. Man, three-point shooting is so important in the NBA these days. I mean, to shoot 30%, like you said, not the greatest of percentages, but if he gets up to 34, 35%, then I would entertain the idea of him being a starter for this team long-term. But when you look at his shooting, Tre Jones has gone from a 55% shooter when it comes to effective field goal shooting, which is amazing for me because I'm going to start all over again, dude. I'm sorry. It's all over again.
It's okay.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Tre Jones shooting 30% might not be impressive, but if he gets it to 34, 35, 36%, then he legitimately can be a starting point guard for this team for the future. He needs that 3-point shot. But what we saw this past season was he improved his 2-point shooting to the point where he was 58% from the field on 2-pointers and had an effective field goal shooting percentage of 55%. That is in the Tony Parker range of offensive efficiency right there. Once you're 55% or higher from an efficient standpoint, then you know that you're a really, really good player in the NBA and that you have potential there. But he has developed a 2-point shot, a little bit of a runner. He's finishing strong in the lane. He has improved so tremendously this past season. I still don't think he's a starter yet, but he's knocking on the door of being a long-term starter.
Not only did he have improvement from the 3 shot, his rebounds went up percentage points, 3.8 per game, so about 4. Last season, 3.6. So he's showing a little improvement there. But overall, he's still a work in progress, mainly the 3 shot. I would like to see him get to the free throw line a little bit more.
Yeah.
He averaged about 8 attempts last year, which is good, I suppose, considering he's not the focal point. But if he can take a page out of Jalen Brunson's book, penetrating, attacking, I think that'll bode well for him. And I get it is Wemby's team. He's going to be the first option. But if that option is closed off, I would love to see Tre Jones improve in that department, just getting to the free throw line more. Also, too, his free throw percentage dipped a bit this year to 86%. Last year it was 88. But again, that could be a byproduct of being teammates with Wemby, considering that's the guy. So things are going to take a hit. It's funny you mentioned Devin Vassell, because I had him on my list as far as most improved players, but he's right there with me. So I agree with you. Devin Vassell, real big leaps and bounds as far as becoming a 1-2 combo with Wemby. That's where it's more important. But for me, my MIP for the Spurs last year was Blake Wesley.
Wow.
He was a kid, yeah. A guy that, looked like he may spend another bulk of the season with the Austin Spurs, but really came on late in the season. What I liked about him was that he was just attacking the rim. I love that, showing no fear, getting the dunks, not being intimidated by the trees and the paint from opposition. And you look at what he did last season, Jimenez, career high when it comes to field goal percentage. He improved on the area that most impacts him the most, is that the outside shot. He went up to 49% shooting last year as opposed to 33% his rookie season. To me, that's a big step in the direction because he was all just fast, speed. That's it. But if he's starting to mix in an outside shot, I think that'll work well for him moving forward. Overall, I like what I'm seeing out of the kid. He improved tremendously. What are your thoughts about Blake Wesley?
It's all about health, man, when it comes to him. We saw that early on in his rookie season when he got hurt and he missed most of the year. So we didn't know exactly what we had there, and he kind of got lost in the fold there as the season started this year. Like you said, he brought it a lot better in the second part of the season. Blake Wesley is still kind of the wild card. You don't know what you've got with him because, he might be a couple of years in, but really only has 1 year of true experience cumulatively of playing time. I like a lot of what he brings to the table, but I like what you said about the fact that he's slowing it down a little bit because he was a pinball, man. He was going out there. He was like streaking down the lane every single play. He didn't have a different speeds to his game, so it's nice to see him kind of develop a little bit more. But he's still a very young guy. We don't know what we've got, so it's kind of still up in the air.
Yeah, you look at how he closed out the season in April. He played 7 games. He got 2 starts, about 21 minutes per game. So the Spurs were throwing him out there. Perhaps the Spurs realized the season was all but done. Let's see what they got. But nevertheless, 6.9 points per game in April, 2.6 rebounds, 3.1 assists. He also had 1.6 personal fouls, so he wasn't getting too much foul trouble in that final month. And again, shot 44% from the field. And you saw that big leap in that department, just being a little bit more accurate from the field. You look at February, 48% shooting from the field. In March, 46%. And then finally, 44% in April. Interesting enough, too, you look at what he did as a starter. Now, he played 3 games as a starter, and I get that that's a very small sample size, but in those 3 games, he averaged 10.3 points per game and shot nearly 81%. Small sample size, but I like the trajectory where he's going, Jimenez. Your thoughts?
Well, beyond that, the Spurs are winning those games too. The Spurs won 6 of the last 10 games, and Blake Wesley, as you mentioned, started a couple of those games. It's a different speed, and maybe that's the good thing that we had from the end of the season was seeing what Wemby could do with Blake Wesley, what he could do with Mamu, what he could do with Malachi, and all of these different players that wouldn't normally be starters or getting starter minutes. So it's interesting to see how that's going to develop and what that's going to do in the offseason when it comes to the Spurs. Are they going to get rid of certain players? Are certain players now more expendable in the eyes of Brian Wright or Greg Popovich? That's what I'm looking for there. But as far as Blake Wesley is concerned, all the experience in the world is important, man. And he's taking advantage of his minutes. We talked about this with Lonnie Walker. I hate the phrase, but when Lonnie Walker back in the day, it's be ready when your number is called. And Lonnie wasn't always that guy. Blake is a little bit better when it comes to that. He's a little bit better when his number is called. He's going out there and he's performing and he's doing a decent job. He shows that he belongs in this league. Now, is he a starter? Is he a 6th man? Time will tell, but he's showing that he does belong.
Yeah, again, Blake Wesley didn't put up a lot of big eye-opening numbers, but if you just want to see who's improved, who was one of the more significant improved players, for me, it's him. Not to get lost in the shuffle too, Malachi Branham. What did you think about his improved play last season?
It was very inconsistent, man, but there was a 6-week period there, February, early March, where he was just on fire, just knocking down 3 after 3 after 3. We knew this when he came out of college that he was a shooter, and shooters know how to shoot. And his rookie season, he didn't show it. This past season, he seemed to be more comfortable doing it. He seemed to be more selective with his shot taking. So it's beyond just nailing the shot. It's taking the right shot at the right time. He seemed to have a better basketball IQ this year compared to his rookie season. Maybe the game's slowing down in a good way where he's more comfortable out there. But I'm happy with the trajectory. And I joke sometimes about it all because we talk about Blake Wesley. We talk about Malachi Branham. Wouldn't it be funny if 2 or 3 years down the road, the best rookie the Spurs had that year was not Sohan, but was Malachi Branham? Because Branham is playing offense. Now, defensively, he struggles. He struggles defensively. He's awful defensively. But offensively, if he develops a game where it's undeniable, where he needs to be in the game because he's a bucket getter, then at least he's doing one side of the court productive.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Blake Wesley towards the end of the season. And again, obviously he's going to say the right things. He wants to build upon his sophomore season. But again, he kept on repeating to me throughout, not just the end of the season interview, but throughout the entire season when I got a chance to catch up with him, he's still focusing on his pace. He wants to keep his pace under control. And I think that is going to be big for him. If he can just learn how to read what the defense gives you, know when to stop, know when to speed it up, just develop, that department, I think is one. I'm glad that he recognizes the fact that he needs to still work on pace, even though he showed a big leap in that department last season. All right, those are our 2 most improved players. Jimenez has Tre Jones. I got Blake Wesley. What do you think? Let Jimenez know on X at MJ Acquired Test. Let me know the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Speaking of the Locked On Spurs YouTube page, we're going to be discussing you guys. That's right. You guys are leaving a lot of comments. We're going to pick 2, react to them. That's next right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. You want to go to FanDuel right now, get that app, do what you got to do to become a member. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL, and with everything, baseball is even in full swing, so why not have some fun with all the sports action only on FanDuel, which is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. You heard that right, guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from the slap shots to home runs to slam dunks to all the action. It's all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? I got it. You should have it too. Go download that FanDuel app right now. You get the hottest action right now. You got playoffs. NBA action is going. These games have been really good. And pretty much have more fun with that by using the FanDuel app. So you want to go to visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet an automatic W. FanDuel, it's America's #1 sportsbook. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Mike Jimenez from Las Palapas. Yeah, he's in Las Palapas right now, everybody. If you're in San Antonio, you know where that is. Make sure to follow Mike Jimenez on X at MJ Acquire Chase. Ask him what his order was. Maybe, just chat with him. Talk with him. Because we love these lunchtime episodes with Jimenez. Good job, Jimenez.
Yeah, I'm keeping it 100 over here, right? I'm losing Mexican points over here.
Hey, you said it, not me. We are talking all things silver and black, and as you can tell, Jimenez is on a lunch break right now, so we gotta keep it a little bit going here. Make sure he gets back to work. All right, Jimenez, it's time to talk about some Locked On Spurs fans. They're leaving a lot of comments on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page, so let's dive into it right now. Let's start. Well, by the way, if you're so shocked, everything's about the offseason right now, but we have a Locked On Spurs fan who says, well, first of all, it's from Julber Bajeras. I think that's what he's trying to say, Bajeras. Thank you, Julber. He says, he's talking about free agents or just trying to acquire talent. He's asking, what about Tyler Hero? What do you think about that, Jimenez? A Tyler Hero type player, a guy that can spread the floor, athletic. You think he'd be a good person to target for the Spurs next season?
No, he wouldn't be on the top of my list. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Tyler Hero fan. The guy can catch fire and just lay it up from three. He's got some swagger to him. He's very intense out there. I wouldn't be mad if the Spurs went after a Tyler Hero or a Tyler Hero type of player. He just wouldn't be my first option out there. I think there's better players out there who can bring more to the team than what he can.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's too streaky for me. That's the last thing the Spurs need is another streaky player. They need a consistent, deep threat. He is a deep threat, but he's just not as consistent. And you mentioned the injury situation. Yeah. I don't think that'll bode well for the Spurs. The Spurs don't need to invest a lot of money or make a big deal for him because Miami's probably going to want a deal, for him. So yeah, I think the Spurs will pass. But thank you for that comment. We appreciate it. Next comment is from Jonathan Laque, I believe, 4248. These names go on these handles on YouTube and somebody put these funny ones. But anyway, he's reacting to the recent Vegas odds that say the Spurs are in the running for Tre Young and DeJounte Murray. Then also the other report from NBC Sports that the Spurs want to pass on Tre Young and shoot for DeJounte Murray. So he says, my gut says DeJounte Murray would be a great fit from a basketball standpoint and being a great fit with Wemby. As far as the DeJounte Murray beef with some Spurs fans, that was a bit overreactive on both some Spurs fans and not the entire Spurs fan base. So he's saying, yeah, if you're going to bring back a guard or you're looking for a point guard, Jimenez, why not chase DeJounte Murray, bring him back? You think that is the play? Yeah, go get a Hawks point guard, but get DeJounte, not Tre.
Well, so many Spurs fans were all upset about this on Twitter the other day when this was brought up, and I don't understand why they're upset. The Spurs need help, and the Spurs need an identity. So don't get me wrong, I've been pro go get Tre Young. I've been very supportive of that. But if that doesn't happen, you could probably get DeJounte for a lower price point, right? Maybe a couple first rounders as opposed to 4 or 5. So that's a positive there. And when I think of DeJounte Murray, the fact that he understands Pop and Pop's system and that he would know what Pop would be expecting of him. He is more mature than what he was when he first left this team. He was bitter. He was upset at the time when the Spurs got rid of him. But I think he's matured a lot more, and it would help provide the Spurs with an identity because think about this as a defensive lineup. Wemby, DeJounte, Sohan, those three could play defense. And then also DeJounte can get to the line. He does a little bit of everything. He can get boards. He crashes the boards. He gets assists. DeJounte Murray might actually be, when you compare him to Tre Young, what the Spurs need because he fills a lot of different needs and he's not as streaky as Tre Young is.
Yeah, if you talk it out, DeJounte seems to be the better fit. He had himself a great season, 20-plus points last year for the Hawks. Perhaps was the most consistent Hawk between him and Tre Young. Also, too, He provides something that Tre Young doesn't, and that's, you hit it on the head, defense. Tre Young's defense is left to, whatever. But DeJounte will bring it, and perimeter defense is what the Spurs need. You throw that in the mix with Wemby, that's a nice 1-2 punch. The familiarity with the Spurs system, familiarity with Popovich. He is a veteran. He is a all-star veteran point guard who put up good numbers in Atlanta. I think the Spurs will want that. For me, ultimately, Jimenez, it comes down to the sticker price. What does Atlanta want? If it's it's just ridiculous, then you're gonna have to pass. If it's reasonable, you go for it. I would not be mad if they bring back DeJounte Murray. Hey, those are our thoughts. And by the way, thank you everybody for leaving Locked On Spurs, some of y'all's fan comments. Keep them coming throughout the offseason. Jimenez, you had a very good show yesterday. You had the person who videotaped the AB Quintanilla incident during Fiesta.
Yeah.
For those of you who know, AB Quintanilla is a Texas musician. He does a lot of Tejano music. If those of you don't familiar with Tejano music, it's kind of a Tex-Mex meets country music. Basically, this kid just kind of bashed San Antonio fans at the event for not being hyped, and he went too far. And yeah, it was all over. It's viral right now, still in San Antonio.
Well, you missed it. You missed. He's Selena's brother. I mean,
and there's that. He's Selena's brother too. So
there's the thing about it. Yeah, so that was fun because, imagine being a tourist coming to San Antonio to watch a concert, and then all of a sudden your TikToks go viral to the point where there's 7 to 8 million views because AB just goes off on a rant.
Yeah, and it was a pretty rowdy.
So I thought it'd be cool to have her on. School teacher from Dallas. We've had some pretty decent interviews on our podcast recently. We had Frank Harris of UTSA Roadrunners. We had the Von Erichs, the Von Erich sons, and that was pretty fun. But no, our show goes Monday through Friday. It's live from 10:15 to 11:30. We're on Spotify, but you can also subscribe to us on YouTube. You can watch it on Twitter and on Facebook as well. It's a fun time, man. And Joe Garcia does a good job producing the show, and we have Jeff Garcia, Moneybags himself, on our show from time to time as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, it's been a kind of an Alamocity start to the week. We had yesterday with Joe Garcia. Now we have you today.
Yep.
So you guys are representing here at Locked On Spurs. Jimenez, how's the lunch situation going? Are you all set? Are you ready to enjoy it?
Okay, so here's the thing. When you go to Las Palapas, it's all about the El Carbon salad, dude. That is what it's all about, man. That is some good eats right there.
You back in a diet kick again? Are you back doing your diet?
Yeah.
You fall off the wagon? You fell off the wagon for a bit?
Well, I was on vacation last week, and I was in New Orleans. And New Orleans food is not good for the belly, man. I mean, all the gumbo and jambalaya and all the etouffee and all that stuff. I got to take it easy this week.
All right. Well, support Jimenez on his diet quest at MJ Acquired Taste on X. And again, Jimenez, we thank you for making time during your lunch hour to stop by here at Locked On Spurs. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow with more Spurs, Silver and Black talk. Chasing Vinny Vincetta. Hopefully he can join. If not, then we'll see. Hop on tomorrow. Hey, check out Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming YouTube channel, only on YouTube. The Locked On guys are there. All the shows are there from the local, national, regional shows. Locked On Sports Today. Go subscribe to it right now. So for Mike Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.